wonder what happens when you stop pretending and feel? I am Amanda Andrade, founder of Mastering Relationships Academy and author of If You Allow It, You Can Feel It. This is the journey unscripted, real conversations, and scripted moments, and the emotional truths that connect all of us. Let's drop in. Today's journey, I'm here with Jessica. She is a master certified coach in life, health, and neuroscience who helps women with ADHD find more ease, joy, and flow in their lives. Thank you, Jessica, for being here with all of us. And let's just dive
Thank you.
deeper. Would you just Yes, absolutely. Would you just share with all of us about your experience? How did you end up on this path?
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to connect. I I'd like to say sometimes that I didn't choose to be an ADHD coach, it sort of chose me because when my son was diagnosed at around he was around age 7, diagnosed with ADHD. I jumped into everything I could find, all the research I could get my hands on, trying to understand him and his mind, how he thought, what would help him, and so on. And very quickly, I started to realize a number of things. The first was how familiar it all sounded, which is what led to my own ADHD diagnosis about a year later. The second is that probably because of my background as a dancer and health coach, I was looking at all of it through sort of a physical fitness, body mind connection kind of lens. And I noticed that everybody else in the field was approaching ADHD as just a brain thing, just top down. We're going to address the brain to get the body cooperating. And because I understood that body mind connection, I thought, this is all backwards. I can do it the other way around. I can access the body to get the brain coordinated. And the last thing I realized was how much shame and stigma there still is, even in 2025, surrounding ADHD, because people have so many misconceptions about it and they think of it as a character flaw, as a problem of won't versus can't, and so many other things. So, pretty quickly, I set out on a mission to eliminate, to dissolve that shame and stigma at the same time as helping my son, at the same time as helping myself understand this new way of being. And so I started just trying a few things, trying some experiments on myself and my son. We found a lot of things that didn't work, and we found a whole lot of things that did. And every time I shared something with a friend who told me their kid was just diagnosed with ADHD, every time I shared something, they would come back and say, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe it really worked. This is fantastic." And I started to realize right then that I had the power to really help people. And even more importantly, help to bring down the the heat of that shame and stigma and start to dial that back, especially for kids growing up, knowing that they have this learning style.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of
Thank you.
that. And yes, that is a lot of stigma behind of the ADHD, right? And you touching
Mhm.
a very crucial point, which it is about the connection within the body. It is
Mhm.
from my own experience, right? I was not diagnosed with ADHD. It was like a journey that I find out that I have this neurodivergency, and how I
Mhm.
couldn't just like, okay, I'm catching this and I'm catching that, and I start researching more about it, but not putting myself in a box. I was just
Mhm.
acknowledge a few patterns. And whenever I was just, okay, it is all about the body. It and having the holistic approach from that. And how can I just feel my body? How I can just connect with those parts of my body that has stories, from my past. And most of them was traumatic from that connection whenever I start
Mhm.
to look within and really like changing things, diet, doing more I always was into to exercise, but it's just like it was more being present within the body
Mhm.
to find the ease and not like pushing my body as I used to have that. So it that connection and just to listen to those parts of the body. And I love whenever you mention about it is not in the mind, because that's how I've been experienced ADHD, not only through my own journey, but with people that I work with that come to me with those
Mhm.
challenge. And it is just like, okay, it is within the body. So like you just say and share with all of us, if I get connect, I can shift the mentality, the mindset, the emotional patterns, because everything it's about the emotions. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And how has been your experience supporting other women, because you did specialize with a woman with ADHD? How has been that support, that service for them?
Yeah. It that too has been an evolution. When I first started coaching a little over 10 years ago, I was working just with the kids. And then the pandemic came along and sort of changed all of that. The last thing kids needed was more time on Zoom. And the work I do doesn't really, for kids, it doesn't translate well over screen to start with. So I started talking more and more to the parents, usually the moms, and they were starting to discover their own ADHD traits as well. And so it sort of morphed over time, a fairly short amount of time, into working just with the women who were coming into their own realization of ADHD. And so it's it was a little uncomfortable for me at first to narrow down my focus that much, because I want to help everybody, you know. I don't really want to just say I only work with women. But um number one, it's necessary so that I can be efficient and highly specialized and really knowledgeable about what I'm doing. Number two, that is my lived experience, so that gives me another layer of understanding to share with clients. And number three, I fully believe that there are ripple effects. So if I help one person, no matter what age or gender that person is, that will ripple out into the universe. And so it's not that I'm necessarily forgetting anybody, it's just that I'm starting in one spot. Does that answer the question you
Yeah,
asked? Maybe I got off track.
it does. Uh, we are having your voice was breaking. Yeah, we are telling our audience that right now you're in the Mercury retrograde, which can cause all of this thing on our interaction. It does answer the question, Jessica, and thank you so much for that. It's really like we wanted to do for the word as that
Hmm.
gift.
Hmm.
Let's embrace it. Let's change the word. I had a that ideology in my head, and I realized that I could not do for everybody, just like you had a that realization. You would love to do it, but focus it what bring us this beauty of the ripple effect that will happening no matter what. It's just the intention. We are having, just like now, we are having this intention on collab with each other and bringing awareness for our community. And with this intention, the ripple effect will be there, because the most in I'm not saying important, but the most valuable assets that we all can have, it's knowledge. And
Hmm.
once we have that knowledge, we can transform into true wisdom. And that transformation will not be easy, however, will be reward, because it's that accomplishment of the being okay, I'm having this challenge as right now, but I will be doing, I will commit with myself with the process. And talking about commitment, how has been the self acceptance for those women that had the
Mm.
realization about the ADHD? How has been your witness with their own process? Can you share more with us, please?
That's such a beautiful question. And I think what I observe more than anything is that finally getting a diagnosis, often later in life, helps to explain so much of why the women I work with tend to feel broken, they feel deficient, they feel less than, they have massive amounts of imposter syndrome, that complex of being enormously competent at what they do, but feeling inside like someday somebody's going to pull back the curtain and see that I don't actually know what I'm doing. Um, so I think diagnosis is a relief in many ways. I know it was for me
Mhm.
because it allowed me to let go of the stories that I had told about myself for so long.
Mhm.
Stories like, oh, I'm just lazy, I'm unmotivated, I'm hopelessly disorganized, I'll never get it together, I'm not that bright. It allowed me to let go of all those and say, all right, I have a different learning and thinking style. It's not the same as the way the world is set up, but if I can make my own systems, if I can make the world work in the same way that my brain does, then I can do things a whole lot better and feel much better and more competent, more confident doing them. And so that's number one, that's one of the things I try most to bring to these women. And it seems to be working because that's what I see most often.
Yeah, beautiful. And it really is to accept who we are
Hmm.
and to embrace those uncomfortable feelings, to
Hmm.
embrace those part of the spectrum that we are not happy with, right? The organization, the memory part, and those self inner talk that we have with ourselves, that we are not good enough, and that goes so on and so forth. And then you mentioned about being left off. And what I've been noticing and working like through my own experience, just like you and with others, it's that part of being rejected, to
Hmm.
not being part of a society or group, because the human has that belonging. It's seeking for that belonging. And whenever I am, and we can just analyze things so good, very
Yeah.
quickly as well. And as I'm analyzing this, okay, I'm not fitting on this box. I call boxes, little boxes. I'm not feeling on
Yeah.
this box. I am going to isolate it myself. And as I am isolating myself, I am allowing all of those inner thoughts to just like
Yes.
suppressing my way of being, my shine, and all of
Hmm.
what I have and what I can share with humanity. And it's really like whenever you step into that spectrum, and then you observe like those uncomfortable feelings and really embrace them and understand that you are not broken, because that is the
Hmm.
biggest part of like the journey. From what I've been sharing and doing those research, it's just like people and we. I call like people and we, because it just depends where you are at in your journey. And sometimes we're not going to honor something that we've been working through, but we are just acknowledging that. So people can just see, like, oh, I don't accept this part of me. I am broken and I am not perfect. And I deal
Hmm.
with a lot of perfectionism, and it's just like I need to fix this for them to go and moving forward. And it's never enough. The perfectionism part with the spectrum of ADHD, you don't need to fix yourself. You are whole and complete, because you're a divine source. and you were created as image and likeness of God, of divine and creator. Because for me, it's everything. We are energetic beings. And once you start to see like the whole picture about that
Mhm.
gift, and really embracing and just communicate that first within you, like, okay, I am thinking like this, I am reacting like this, how I can just not react from like a trigger or from the emotion that I've been in, like anger or frustration or hurt or sadness, how I cannot react and transform this
Mhm.
spectrum into a health way of being. It's really having those self-talk. And once I'm having self-talk, communicating, I'm able to express that feeling in that inner experience with others. And so if they're gonna accept or not, that's not on me. And as long as I'm having an intention of like respecting myself first and communicated that with others, yes, I'm just getting the flow. And from this sharing, how has been the flow for your woman's or your own life whenever you just let it go and stop to controlling and really
Mhm.
like step into to your power? How has been your own witness and the witness with your clients? Can you share with us, please?
Yeah. I think maybe the most important part, or at least the first step to finding that flow and that self-acceptance that you mentioned, is understanding that every single challenge we have, whether it's related to ADHD or not, every single challenge we have has a flip side. There are two sides, at least two sides to every challenge. One
Mhm.
side looks really difficult, and when you flip it over, you find a hidden strength. So, of course, I think about this mostly related to ADHD, but everything we could think of as a so-called symptom has a mirror trait, meaning something that is good about it. It's a maybe a gift that's a little over exaggerated, or sometimes under exaggerated or undervalued. But that, I think, is the very first step, to realize that every challenge has a flip side. And then once we move in a little further, the the other thing that comes up fairly often in trying to find that flow is, how do I find the pause? Because emotional regulation and reactivity is a huge piece of ADHD, even though it's not part of the diagnostic criteria yet. Emotional regulation is a challenge. Um, the flip side of that challenge, by the way, is that we are really passionate and we are really intense and we do have a lot of big feelings.
Oh yeah.
Um, but that reactivity sometimes will cause us to behave in ways that we wish we didn't. We may say things off the cuff that we would like to take back. We may do things on impulse that we really wish we really hadn't. Um, so finding the flow is a matter of finding the pause before the reaction, the pause between I'm having a thought and a feeling and I'm taking an action. Um, and so one of the ways that we go about trying to build that pause in really is getting to know our minds, getting to understand how they work, feelings, emotions, and sensations within our bodies, because that often tends to be difficult for us with ADHD. We're not always in tune with what's happening in our bodies. But when we practice that, it becomes more natural, it becomes easier, especially in the moment, the heat of the moment, when we're in that emotional conversation or an intense situation. The more we practice the pause, the easier it gets. The more we're able to pause, the more flow we find in in every part of life, whether it's a difficult situation or a really beautiful, happy one.
Yes, beautiful. I love whenever you say about the pause, right?
Mm.
We are living in a fast-paced world. Everything it's for
Boy.
now. I want it now.
Mhm.
And I gotta be now. Now. but what is the now from the mind? It is your mind projecting something, some belief from the from the past into to the future, causing you to be at stress. Because if it is in the past, you are in the stress, and then the anxiety, it's going to be in the future. That's why you want to now. So people are flipping the now and not being really aware about those emotional patterns that, let me connect this, those emotional patterns that it's being behind, those beliefs, those like instantly
Right.
gratification. So pausing, just like you mentioned, it's so much in there because you are
Hmm.
regulating your emotional your your nervous system, right? Grounding in yourself, because it's very important. And I, like we are just comment, for me at least, I am not a neuroscientist, I am not a doctor to say that I'm coming from my own experience. For me, it's within the body. The ADHD, it's in the body, right? The unease part. So because at least for me, it was not safe to be in my body whenever I was child. That
Yeah.
all of the traumas, and I'm not sure if that is how you just are having this experience with your own clients. So the traumas in the past, it is what shape the experience for ADHD, because it is within the body, and because we storage emotions and patterns within the body and was not safe. I was just like the consciousness just knock it out from the body, and then this is the storage
Hmm.
of it, and then you come back to the body, and then you feel not feel safe, and then all of those uneasy and restless part. And just like you say, that the most difficult part, it is to stay connected within the body, because the body will tell you what it needs in order to feel safe, in order to keep functioning on it. And whenever we have this ability of like regulating our nervous system, which is the pause once and again, just
Hmm.
bring the attention to the now, focus on your breathing, which is meditation, can give
Yeah.
us so much. And people I'm start getting that more and more, and I'm so thankful for that, because it's just meditating. It doesn't need to be perfect. People think that meditation, I'm not going to have no thoughts, I am just going to be in here. That's not how it works.
No,
You
it's
know,
not.
meditation is just giving you the power of like regulating your nervous system and
Yeah.
become the observer of it.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
thoughts will coming in and out. Don't get attached to them, because that's whenever it is the challenge. Because if you get attached on that, that could be your belief system that was generated in the past, which shape what you are not. Because those inner voices saying I'm not good enough, that's not who you are. Those was just experience that you had in your past. And then if you attach to that, and then your mind, oh, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, oh, I'm not going to meditate and to listen to this. No, it's about become the observer of those thoughts as they coming in and out, and feel the body, and just focus on the breath whenever you miss it, that. And
Hmm.
really like sitting or not sitting, that could be, you can walk meditating, you can just cook, as
Yeah.
long as you are in the present moment and you just experience all of that. And could you just share some of those moments that you had in your own life? Because I know that you're also a mom and wanted to
Mm.
do a lot of tasks at the same time, and the brain activity like being productive.
Yeah. Yeah,
How has been the
absolutely.
pause in your life, and especially for you and for your own kids?
Mm. Right. I love that you said what you said about meditation. That I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, really, in thinking that I have to sit still and I have to stop thinking, I have to clear my mind of all thoughts. That's really not what it is at all. You don't have to even sit still. So I really appreciate your point of view on that. Um, as far as finding the pause for myself and my kids, I think. I think my background in dance really helped me with that. Um, firmly believe that dance was probably my primary coping mechanism growing up without even knowing that's what it was, because it gave my brain enough jobs to do. You know, in the dance studio, we are hearing the music, we're counting the music, we're watching what we need to do, we're accounting for our space relative to someone else's, we're accounting for every piece of our bodies, all of our limbs, and where they're going in space, and uh, also trying to convey some kind of artistic quality or some emotion. So there's a lot going on, and it gives my brain so much to do that it feels peaceful. It feels relaxed. Um, sort of, it's almost the opposite of meditation in a way, because there is a lot going on, but at the same time, it feels really centered and relaxed. So for me, that was a big one. Um, for my son, my daughter also has ADHD. She's a little younger. It's remarkable to see how different these two kids from the same two parents can be, even when they have the same diagnosis. My son usually finds his pause also through physical activity. He's
Mhm.
really kinetic, really active. He used to climb trees higher than I could even stand as a mom. It would just terrify me how high he would climb, but he was in the zone when he was moving. As I researched and learned later, that was probably the result of using all four of his limbs in coordination and also making micro decisions as he climbs the tree, making tiny decisions about where do I put my hand next and where do I need to center my torso in order to make it to the next limb and so on. So probably a very similar thing for him. For my daughter, I think hers is more about stillness and music and emotional regulation, really tuning into the stillness, finding that center in her body, or identifying an agitated emotion and being able to breathe into that and calm herself. Um, so it can be so very different for each person, and that's part of what this work is all about for me, is helping each person find what that is for themselves, and then being able to put that into daily practice so they can find their own pauses.
Yes. What is a beautiful journey. And thank you for sharing with us your journey with your own children's, because it really comes to the point of like being present with them, witness them to
Mm,
growing,
mhm.
and like to see the creativity from each, and like just to witness and observe. I believe it's a beautiful gift, and I'm not a mom yet, but I do appreciate it. You guys doing this work with those like beings, and just like guiding them, because it's such a great experience, and to see and to be involved with, and just having that creative part, which is just so subtle, and then really get us out of like the fight or flight
Yes.
way of being, and then it's just sharing that, and finding like witness each finding their own path, and just and exchange that. And that bring me to the question, like, how has been the experience for your clients and friends to find who they are, and to be creative on their own way, like to really break through the limits that they thought they had it. How has been that experience for them?
It's been really beautiful to watch the blossoming of other people as they begin to discover more about themselves, and as they begin to learn about mirror traits and shifting their own stories of what they thought was all wrong and broken about them into, hey, this has another side, and it's pretty darn positive. It's been amazing. Your question brings to mind one of my clients from a couple of years ago who had been telling herself this negative story about her work world, her professional trajectory. She felt like she didn't really have a specific career path, that she had bounced around from one job to the next and not really focused in on any particular um, career path. And the story she was telling herself about that was that it was a bad thing, that it was a negative, and she really should just pick one thing straight out of college and stay with it. And as we began to tease that apart and talk about the various things that she had done and all the experience she had had, we found some common threads and common denominators between all these disparate things that she had tried. And then we took those common threads and we wove them back together in a different way so that she could begin to see that she wasn't a job hopper. She wasn't untethered or just flapping around loose in the wind. Instead, she was what we called a creative translator. So the common thread in all of her work was taking the creative work of someone else and being able to translate it into a different form. She was a creator and a creative translator. And when she shifted that story, it, number one, it lit up her face. I'll never forget the look on her face when we came upon that term, and she just, her eyes got wide and a little bit teary, and mine got a little teary, and it was so special to see somebody's entire self-image shift in that one moment. So it's I'm really honored to be part of that journey with people and to help them realize that, again, they're not broken. They're different, and different is good.
Yes, yes. I approach that with the discourses that we have,
Mhm.
right? And those discourses came from our throatness, which is like where we were born, the environment, and from those events that happen into our life, our positions with. And I've been working with Freddie Zeringi, which he was the one to unfold all of this, and I'm using the languages that I learned with him, and
Mhm.
he taught me about that, the thrones and the positions and the discourses that the mind has within with itself, and you just like share that with us, just like seeing that woman just to realize her potential. It
Mhm.
is just like all of the beliefs that you had, it just collapse, and then you just shift your entire being from one thing that was always there, but we could
Mhm.
not see it because
That's
we
right.
have so much garbage in our mind that we believe on it. And I always tell people, clients, and even myself, I am not my thoughts. I am not
Right.
my thoughts. And so, if I am not my thoughts, what could come out of this? Or what love couldn't say? Whenever I'm
Mhm.
in difficult situation, what love could say on this? How love would
Mhm.
act from this, because it really comes to the certainty part and that acceptance and that flow, like the flow, like people say like, oh, I have the cutter and everything's all over the place. Not really, it is just the perception of that, right? So for like the neurodivergency people, it's really like for finding where it is the flow, and how can I'm allowing myself to that flow, because it reminds me about my own book. If you allow it, you can feel it.
Mhm.
What is the flow that I'm feeling in? Or what is the flow that I'm allowing? Just like for your client, she was just focused on the negativity part of her journey, that she did not allow it, the other flow to come in. And thankfully, she had you holding this safe space for her. So then she couldn't blossom, just like come back to life, and it's starting like helping others, like the ripple effect once and again, and just and how you just be impacting people's lives and really seeing them just to just like being on their best, that is the most beautiful gift that I find as well, that give us which is gonna come to the next point, that give us the dopamine, the drive
Ah,
for it, because that is another face or
mhm.
interface part of the ADHD, which is about the dopamine, the seeking for like the dopamine. I'm not sure how has been for you or like your kids, but I would like to share like, or to dialogue with that with you. How has been that kind of like experience for you, like the dopamine seeking, and how has you been filling that up, that I'm not say like that gap, but it's not a gap, it's the drive, the driving or driving for it. Could you share with us?
Yeah. I'm a huge science nerd, so learning about the biological foundations of ADHD is really interesting to me. And I remember learning early on something that surprised me so much and surprised my clients when I share it with them, which is that we've always been taught that dopamine is a reward. It's the molecule of reward, the thing that's released in our brains when we achieve something or get something that we wanted. That's not actually the case. Dopamine is the molecule of motivation and seeking and more. The molecule of more drives us to go get something. So, this is another reframe that we can make, which is when we have lower dopamine, either because we have ADHD or because it's just a natural slump that happens in all humans because of our circadian rhythm, that's not a bad thing. That's the thing that is going to make us get up and go get something. Now, what we get is a choice. We can go get a bag of potato chips or a giant candy bar, or we can go get some vegetables. The choice part is a little bit more logistical. But reframing dopamine from something we get when we do something good into the thing that can spur me out of inertia, thing that can get me up off the couch and going to do something, anything else, then the whole picture starts to take on a new sort of version, a new color. The other thing is that rather than working, and then rewarding ourselves at the end, which is what most of us have been taught all along, rather than that, what we can do is find the reward within the effort. And that is a challenging but beautiful and natural way to replenish dopamine when it's running low. When we're feeling like, oh, I really don't want to do this thing. I don't want to, pay the taxes or write the memo or whatever it is that has to be done. When we can tap into our why and use another couple of techniques to find where the reward is within the hard part, then it makes it easier for us to tackle it, to adhere to it, and actually follow through on it rather than patterns that we had established before. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
totally, totally. Thank you so much to sharing this refrain.
Mm,
Beautiful, because it is really what we experience on our daily basis. You just translate in a words
mhm,
on a practical ways that we experience life. And what happened with like
mhm.
the marketing part, the social medias, oh, you need to get this to feel this.
Yeah.
You need to like get this other thing. It's always like when the rewarding part, once you have this, you be happy. And just it's the opposite.
Mhm.
You gotta
Yeah.
be first, then to have it, meaning the reward that you're just talking about.
Mhm.
It's connecting with your core, it's connecting
Yes.
with who you are, and not like what you have. And in that path, that journey, unscripted. It's like knowing what is your life purpose? What are you here for it? And those deep questions really make you to be engaged in a journey that is unique for you. But and then you sharing in the collective way of being. And whenever you are sharing your joy, your life purpose, or what I'm getting up today, be thankful because you have one more day in this earth. And that is the beauty of it. We are here temporary. The only thing that we are sure about life that we're gonna die and pay taxes. That's the only
Right.
thing. But okay, physically, I am dying, but like my consciousness, my spirit, it's not dying, it's eternal and immortal. How much comfort that bring to your existence and to your own experience in life, at least for me. And whenever I understood that, and I was like, wow, who am I? What I'm doing this earth? Okay, if I'm gonna die, life is about like waking up, brush my teeth, breakfast, driving, stress, go work, and come back home. No, gotta be more. If that is more, how I can just be, how I can just get in the flow, just like you're saying. It's your motivation, your why you are here in this earth, why I'm doing this, right? It is I've been enjoying the journey. It's not about the outcomes, not about the results. It's about the journey itself, enjoying the journey, getting the growth mindset, and just be and surrender every day. At least for me, it's a surrender moment. I surrender myself. I always say, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Please take care of everything because I don't have control of things. I do have control the way that I react with people, events, circumstance. Other than that, I don't have control. I am co-creating with people. I'm co-creating with you now, Jessica, which I'm very thankful for this moment. So then we can share this and other people can co-create it on their own. And then we are just experience life. And that's why I love what you say. It's just getting your why, your motivation, and not getting like chocolate, sugar, food, those kind of things, that the marketing say. It's just go and find your inner core, go and find your motivation to live, connect with your body, and connect with nature. You want to best way of getting grounded and solid,
Mhm.
going outside barefoot, walk with a barefoot, hug a tree. I typically do that. I hug a tree and I'm thankful for the trees because they release my oxygen for me to breathe.
Right.
It's just like see the ecosystem, it's all connected, and we all connected through the air, through like the it's so beautiful to think about that. We all connected just through the breath because the same air that you're breathing in, I'm over here in the other part of the country breathing. How beautiful is that? And it just give me so much grace and joy, and I do believe that you also feel that way. And then it's just our being just holding those space for our clients and for our family, and for us. First of all, it's holding this space for us, and to really just to be and just keep going in life. And yeah, would you like to add any other thing of your work or of your own journey in this moment with us?
Oh gosh. I I could probably talk for hours. I think if I had one thing to share, parting words, I suppose, it would be for for people everywhere who find out that they have ADHD, or that a loved one does, or that a friend or a coworker does, to understand that it truly is a way of thinking differently. It's not less than, it's not better than. It's just different. And the more that we can recognize each other's differences and invite those to the table and bring those into the collective, the better it makes everything, whether it's related to work or home or family or friendship. Differences make us better and they make us stronger. And so that's what I'm here to do, is to make different a good thing instead of a bad or polarizing thing.
Beautiful, beautiful. My next question was going to be like, and then you already answer, I believe it, right? And but if you have anything to add, please feel free, because what's going to be this as right now divine is giving you this opportunity of getting your message around of the
Mm.
world, and everybody's going to receive on the cell phones, everybody's going
Mhm.
to see on like on the outdoors, like in that moment, what would be your message? You already share a beautiful message. And if you have, let's say this, if you have 3 words, what
Mm.
would be the 3 words that people will receive on their cell phone as a divine source for you?
3 words. You are loved. You are loved.
Oh, how beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Ah, that feels so much in my heart, because if I felt that, I'm sure our audience it's feeling that, because it's about this energy that we've been
Mm.
creating in this container to
Yeah.
share that with others. So I'm hopefully, and I'm sure that you are there listening us in this moment, time and space, are receiving that message. And that comes to the end of our podcast today, which I would love to invite you to connect with Jessica. We're going to have her links on the bio, and please take the moment to connect. And if you know anybody that will be benefits from this podcast, this conversation, please just share and connect. And let's just really be there for us first, and then we can share that beauty with others, because we can only fill up other people's cups once you fill up our cups first. And do this for you, and then you can do it for others. Thank you so much for listening to us. We really appreciate that. And stay tuned for the next episode.
Mm.
Bye.
Thank you, Amanda. It's been such a joy.